Welcome everyone to our final meeting of the year, and fingers crossed our final meeting online. Much prefer to do this in person and have people and interaction, but it is what it is. The restrictions still limit us that we can't have it at the club rooms. But that aside, welcome to the December meeting and Merry Christmas. So, next slide.
Yeah.
Getting there.
They've done that bit. There we go.
On that. So just a quick look at our agenda for tonight. So the usual culprits in the start there, although Kathy is an apology, family down tonight instead of tomorrow night. So we'll get her report read out anyway. Events, general business, question time, and then some awesome presentations tonight from John Haddock and Glenn Burrage. So we'll kick off the meeting with the minutes for the previous meeting. Has everybody read them?
Don't expect an answer.
Yep. Can I get someone to move them as true and correct?
I'll move that.
You'll move that. We'll second that by Bruce if there is no further amendments to the minutes at all. All heads are silent. Thank you very much. We'll move them as true and correct. I actually don't have much to talk on tonight. We're wrapping up a year. We're hoping that come January we can actually have runs on the table for you, but obviously, COVID restrictions are still in place and we're not sure where to go to from here. But we had a whole lot of runs planned for this year that we didn't get to happening, so we'll get some of them back on the calendar for this year. Some of them were a good venue to go to. And of course, we have our Christmas run this weekend. I am so looking forward to being able to see you guys in the flesh. Back out at Sylvan where we were last year, the gentleman's been very kind in offering us his space again. So I am looking forward to seeing you all there. That's about it for me at the moment. So we'll move on to Mark for the Secretary's report.
Okay. So for my report again, not a great deal has changed, but as usual, we're sharing any information that comes in or any magazines that come in via the Mopar coffee table, and that goes out once a month, and that includes the magazines from the club, but nothing other than that in terms of inbound or outbound correspondence. The membership renewals process is all finished now. So we start the year at the moment with 524 members, and those few members that didn't renew, if they had cars on the CPS, then we have sent off the notification to Vic Roads that they are now unfinancial. So if that's one of you, you may need to, you won't be have received an invitation to the meeting, so you're probably not online, but if you know of somebody, then they need to renew and become financial again to sort out that issue. We do continue to get new members, and I notice that we've got some have joined us online tonight, so welcome to the new members that we've got. But this month we've got Shane Skinto, Sarah Murley, Dean and Jessica Pratt, Karen Holden and Zia Hackham have all joined the club, so welcome to the club. We haven't had too many meetings that you could have joined us this year, but we're looking to getting back on track with that, and good to have new members still joining the club. So the next one is Treasurer's report. And as Rachel said, Kathy's not joining us tonight due to family commitments. So am I reading this one out, Rachel? Yep. Okay, so just reading out the financial statement for the month of November. So receipts on CPS, new applications, about $29, interest received, $1.60, member fees received, 6,849, sales and other receipts, 215, dollars for a total receipts of $7,096. On the expenses side, the $175 associated with awards for Foundation Day, $308 for postage of the magazine, $129 on other postage and PO box expenses, $437 for printing of the magazine, and $60 on printing other expenses, $30 for costs associated with the raffle, $268 for rent of the VDC club rooms, $23 for subscriptions for some of our internet services, $42 on trailer expenses and repairs, $133 related to the website, so that would have been the domains and the hosting subscriptions that we've got. In the accounts in our term deposit, $42,166. In our trading account, $46,592 for a total on hand of $88,758, which is always a high number right at the beginning of the year. But of course, we're hoping to be able to spend some of that next year.
Thank you very much for that, Mark. And yes, looking forward to being able to spend that on the members during the course of next year when we get out and get back together. So bit of a thank you to all the members for hanging in there through the course of what has been quite a difficult year. So definitely look forward to rewarding you all and getting out there and doing things. So we'll move on to the events report. Graham, for the pub lunch.
Yeah, we had our last pub lunch at, I've forgotten the venue now, Wattle Park. All had a good day. It was great weather-wise. It was good to see some different faces there. We've got another one coming up in January, and I've actually forgotten the date. At Gels Park.
13th of January.
13th.
Yeah, no, we've got it on the screen, haven't we?
No, I've got nothing. I've got Rachel on my screen.
Is that any better?
No, now I've got John Haddock.
You can see it. Yeah. You can see it, Mark. It's coming up all right.
Yep, so it is on mine. John Haddock, if you just want to mute your mic.
I thought I had, okay.
That's all good.
Okay, so just to clarify, divert for a second. So Graham, what are you seeing on the screen?
I'm seeing you at the moment with your car behind you.
Because I am sharing the presentation, so I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah.
Everybody else is seeing the presentation, aren't you?
It's on mine. Yeah. I didn't have share screen on mine, so it's all right.
Okay, all right.
We're done.
So
yeah, I
we're
was
back
right.
to it.
13th
Yep.
of January, 12 noon, Gels Park for another picnic. Bring everything. We may be able to grab a shelter for ourselves. Just depends how quick I can get there to set it up. But take the entry off Ferntree Gully Road and just drive in there and you'll see us. It's the easiest way to get there. Everyone welcome.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing you there. I think I'm still on leave then, so I might be able to come along.
Okay, that'd be great.
I'll have to check what I've booked. Thank you very much, Graham. We've also got, as I mentioned earlier, the Christmas Family Day this Sunday. So 10:30 a.m, same as last year, 80 Chapman Road, Sylvan, and we will have the flags up for you to not miss the driveway. But that's all right, country road, plenty of time to do a U-turn to come on back in. So as we said for next year as well, COVID-19 sort of restricting us on what we can sort of put together for our runs. As it says there in front of you, it's assumed we'll start to return to normal, but who knows? Restrictions will make it a bit more difficult. Hopefully the club rooms, the meetings can go back to there. We will need that square meterage rule to be lifted for us to do that. At this stage, you're only able to have 20 people inside, so sort of limits us on having a meeting there. But we'll hopefully release a calendar of some description early in the year, hoping for February, but it might not be the case. It might be March before we get to that. And same goes for the annual tour.
Yep, so I've sprung something in there with a late entry, Rachel. and Frank would like to talk to this one.
Yep, so I'll continue on the annual tour and then we'll go to Frank. So the March Labor Day weekend, it'll need to be a different format. Difficulty booking any accommodation regional at the moment. The moment they lifted those gates, venues all of a sudden were booked out for months with people wanting to get away. Made it difficult to organise everything. As you all know, by this time of the year, the annual tour is all done, dusted, organised, waiting for the date to come on around. So if you have suggestions for any destinations or format changes on this, please let us know. Looking for places that we can go just as a day trip style thing, or any of your thoughts that doesn't necessarily require accommodation out regional, which is really difficult to do. So please contact any one of us on committee if you've got any thoughts on what we can do. Now over to Frank.
I'll just add to that. I mean, we do have some ideas and things that we would like to do for that weekend, but we're asking if you've got some other suggestions. We're open to exploring all options because things are just changing so quickly. If there are lots of options that other people have got, we'd love to hear them and just compare them with the ones that we're looking at the moment.
No worries. Thanks for that clarification, Mark. We'll move to Frank for Spirits of the Hue.
So Frank on mute. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, so we've the truck club that I'm involved in has an event each February at Broadford. I was at another event with a car club and they wanted to know if they could join in. I think I sort of tried spruiking this in the last magazine as well, giving a few details. To my way of thinking, it's not a bad run to kick the year off with, given that we've had absolutely not a lot for the last 12 months or so. If someone wants to step up and organise it, it's a great opportunity to do, what is it, 80 something Ks from Melbourne, meet somewhere in the northern suburbs, come out for a run. I've spoken to the organisers of the event for the weekend, and they'd be more than happy to see you along. I've also put the feelers out to CRCA, and I think they'd like to come along, and another little club called the Early Vehicle Touring Club, and I think they're going to join us as well. So we could probably put on a more than reasonable display of cars. Facilities are rudimentary. It's all on-site, portaloos that come in. We do camp there, so there are showers if someone was game enough to come and have a look on the Saturday night. There's a bit of food. My recommendation would be bring all of that yourself. The food is not fantastic, I have to say, but it is the locals that are putting it on. So if you want to actually support a few of the local groups, then take your chances. So yeah, I'd love to see you there. I'd love to know what interest there is so that I know what I'm telling the guys about setting room aside. Not much else to tell. If anybody's got any interest or any questions, I'm happy to answer them. It's Saturday the 5th and Sunday the 6th. Sorry, Saturday 6th and Sunday the 7th. And I would imagine that if the car club wants to come along, Chrysler and CRCA will be on the Sunday.
So we'll send out a reminder in the middle of January to remind people that that one's on, and see if we can sort out how many of us can go up for the day and join that display.
I guess if somebody wants to sort of pick it up and run with it and organise a run.
Sounds like a good plan to me. That weekend, is that the first weekend of February, is it?
Yes, it is, mate.
Yeah, that would normally clash with the Charger Club display day, but I'm unsure where they're at the moment with organising theirs. Obviously, it's not at the Caravan Gardens, but I'll see if there's going to be a calendar clash at all. But yeah, heading out to Brochures seems like a good plan for that weekend.
Well, there's something to do away from the trucks as well, because most of the main streets open, so there's coffee shops and bric-a-brac and stuff like that.
Yep. No dramas at all. Well, thank you very much for that, Frank.
No worries.
So, Bruce, have you got something to say about Tech Talk? You're on mute. Have I put him on the spot and he's not ready? I have put him on the spot and he's not ready. But
Yeah,
Tech Talk, there he
Sorry
is.
about that.
There he is.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just lying back in the chair and relaxing too much. So, yeah. So next year we haven't put down our Tech Talk, but we have got a Tech Talk that has been requested, and that was on SU carburetors and constant depression carburetors, and probably on updraft carburetors. So I'm putting that together at the moment, but I don't want to put it as a Tech Talk for February in case we can do a garage crawl. So we've got a little bit of time, so let's just see what happens, and we can pick whichever one. But in the month of February, it's usually nice weather, and it's nothing better than going to somebody's place and having a garage crawl and kicking the tyres of their cars and what have you. The other thing, what we're looking for is more garage crawls for next year. So if you would like to open up your garage and let people come around, we'll have a bit of a barbecue and a bit of a chat. And even if you've just got one car there, it doesn't matter. It's just going to somebody's place and having a bit of a geeze what they do with their car. And the other thing is, if anybody has got some subjects that they'd like me to do a Tech Talk on, we've already had the basic downdraft carburetor. We've also had determining wire size, and we've had the one on ignition systems, and of course we've got the SU carby one coming up. So you can hit me with any subject, and we'll put something together. It could be, you might want to know how air conditioning works. You might want to know how an automatic transmission works. Anything. Just send me an email and I'll start putting it together. Thank you very much. Have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you very much, Bruce. Look forward to some more of this in the new year, and definitely getting to someone's garage will be way more exciting. Not to put a dampener on your online presentations there, Bruce, but most certainly in the flesh is better. But very impressed with the Tech Talks that you've been able to put on for this year. It's been very informative.
Yeah, well, it's going to be good just to go to somebody's place and do that sort of thing and get out a bit and save the Tech Talks for the winter period when it's a bit chilly to go out and that. But anyway, let's see how the COVID goes.
Yep.
Probably not good reports from New South Wales, but everybody's already starting to panic, but who knows how that's going to end up. Okay, thank you.
No dramas. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to general business. So whether you've got a bit of garage gossip, highs, lows, woes, or otherwise, or just some general business, now is the time to unmute yourself and ask, or type it in the chat if you want. Anybody?
Maybe I could start off with one little thing, and that's my restoration on the 36 coupe. The 36 coupe is just about ready, is virtually finished with all the metal work in regards to the main body. I'm just working out with a timber company at the moment for the timber to re-wood it, and doing the preparation on the metal with different cleaners and substances to try and stop any rust coming back through again. So it's all very interesting, and probably learning a few things, new things, because I'm lucky enough that my next door neighbour is a spray painter, and he's one of those spray painters that's just so finicky about trying to do the job so perfect. So he's not going to paint the car, but he's good to talk to get some of that good information on the latest materials.
Roger here. Hello.
Sure, Roger. Keep going.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. I went to my first show last Saturday for the season, car show, and it was burgled in Officer, a hamburger place, and there's probably a couple of hundred cars there, and it was a good night. Me and Marlene had tea there in the hamburger place, and it was a good to start off the season, you know, to see a load of cars out together. And I met a member named Reg. He's got a 1949 Plymouth, and I hadn't met him before. It was a good mix of cars. Anyway, it was a good night. Yeah.
They're the photos you put up online, was it, Roger?
That's right. Yeah.
No, it looked like there were definitely nice variety of vehicles there to look at.
Yeah, that photo behind me was taken on the night. Yeah.
Oh, good photo.
Yeah, it's a nice one. Yeah. And for everybody that thinking my car looks different, I've had the vinyl wrap put on it in an ivory colour on the skirts and the roof.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looks good, Roger.
Thanks.
Anyone else got any other general business at all? No, well, we might move on then with our first guest speaker of the night. Mark, would you like to do the introduction?
Okay, so our first guest speaker tonight is John Haddock. And John's a long-time member who's previously enjoyed his 1967 Plymouth Belvedere hardtop, but now has a new car in the garage to talk about. And tonight he wants to share the story of the restoration of his 1972 Plymouth Duster Coupe. So if John will unmute his microphone, and
All good.
I'll spotlight him like that. And I think we're ready to go.
Good evening, everybody. And yes, I first saw this car in 1997 in the United States at my friend's place, and thought it was going to be a big restoration to do. And I met the chappie about 1992 at the Mopar Nationals in America, and I bought the car off him in 2008. So we can move on now. Yeah, in the 28 years with the club, there's most of the cars I've had during this time. Yes, mostly all Valiants, but there's the Plymouth Belvedere. My wife had a Rambler convertible for a time, and I had the Chrysler by Chrysler. So we can move on to the number 3. That's how the car, my Duster, originally looked when it was first built. A vinyl roof with a red body. And then over its years, it became very unhappy. There were quite a few dents and the like, and I pretty much saw it in that condition when I saw it in America back in 1997. And I thought to myself, boy, there's a big restoration ahead of my friend. Famous last words for John. Okay, my friend had it for 11 years, and he started on a restoration. He put a bit of paint on it and looked around for seats and the like. It was, and that's when it arrived in Australia, when I bought it off him in 1998. And it's just arriving at my house after it was delivered from Pete Smith, Mustang Imports in Ferntree in Lilydale. And now it's, right, what do we do? So start on the strip down. The car came with no interior, and you can see the state of the interior. And I'd taken all the front fenders off and the engine sitting there. As you can see here, the front fenders are all off it. Bare metalled all the steel, and thought, well, what next? You see the interior, I start to redo all the console. I start to rebuild it all down around the bottom in MDF because it was all so badly destroyed and the like. And there you can see a socket that sat in the headers that were all the way from America to Australia. It never moved. And we've gone on to, right, the engine's all out. Some of these pictures did get a little out of sequence. The engine's out, and we're about to start on all the front restoration work. The car needed a complete new radiator frame because, as you saw earlier, there was an accident.
Okay, so you're ready to move on to the panel shop story?
Yep, that's all okay. Okay, so we've arrived at the panel shop, and it's right, where do we go from here? So first off, we strip the car down again, and there's the new radiator frame, which I retrieved out of a VG Valiant. Everything is the same except for the top crossbar. And the rear right-hand corner of the car had seen better days, and all the American panel beading, you can see it gone on there where they did the pull. We've welded in the new radiator support, and we'll be getting ready to paint the whole car soon. And this is just some of the work, pushing the car straight. The left rail was a little crooked, so we pumped that out and reset the new rail. And now we're on to, I myself did all this bare metaling on this car, took the whole car back to bare metal all over, and we've had to replace where the key goes in the back there, and all the rear quarter panel. You can see halfway up the quarter where they weld the roof on, there's a bit of filler up there. Yes, more metaling work across the, not too sure what you call it, but over the panel between the hood and the windscreen. But someone had stepped on all those vents, and they were all bent in, so we had to cut the firewall away and bend them all up again. And you can see where they weld a roof on a duster. And incidentally, the dusters are basically our VE, VF, VG, oh no, the VF and the VG hardtop. But it's just been a new roof put on, a rear and a roof done. The rest of the car is basically the VG and VF car. Just more of the work. The car was very rough in its body, not really any rust in it, but it'd been really treated badly. It was just full of the shopping trolley dents all over. Like most cars, lower rear quarters need replacing. There was a few pinholes showing here and there. So I thought, it's in the shop, cut them off, replace them, and it's done. And here you can see we're progressing with still with the body work. And I did look at it and think, what have I started? Like a lot of guys do. Still doing the body work, just a few more shots on it. And it's getting ready to get the epoxy undercoat put on it. And here we are, we've put the epoxy coat on it, quite a few layers, and we've sealed the car up again. And it'll be ready to rock and roll home so I can start working on the mechanicals. And yeah, we shipped it home, and I had it in the garage for many years, but I didn't have to worry about destroying a finished paint job. I could bump it and look at it and whatever, and build all the interior because it had no interior while it had it in this undercoat state. Now, there was one visit with the Chrysler, with the club. They all came to my place, and a lot of the members saw the car pretty much in this state. With that accident the car had, it had been fitted with a 1971 mudguard, and you think 72, 70, 71, 72, all the mudguards the same? No such luck. And while it was back home again, I pulled out all the front end, bare metaled it, brought it all up in primer, so I got rid of all the grease and dirt and dust. As all you guys know, it's just lovely working with the parts of the cars when they're clean and tidy and no grease and grime all left on them. So rebuilding all the front end, I'd acquired some disc brakes for the car off a VG VIP, and everything is in much the same. All the parts, upper and lower control arms are all the same as the Valiant, so everything works the same. I had, in this time period, I'd set the bumper bars away because they were a little bent and not happy, but the chap that re-chromed them, he straightened them and did a lovely job on those. And here we got the front end. The car's still up on those little wheels you have for trailers, which are good. After all the seals had been done in the diff, it was time to put the diff back. This is all why I left the car in undercoat, because there's just so much work to do in the garage and didn't have to worry about spoiling a paint job. So the trolley jack's really good for wheeling a diff back under the car. Up it went and all bolted up, and the springs all on, everything painted. And also I'd acquired a brand new fuel tank, because I'd found out that fuel tanks, by the time they get 30 years old, they're not happy. Restoration of the grille. Yeah, that was a lot of work, because number one, it's not the right grille again. It's a 71 grille and not a 72. So the spot where you put your parker and blinker is incorrect. Here we have the dashboard all out and in a really messy state. And that took a lot of work to make that look like a decent dashboard again, as you'll see as we go along. All the plastic areas, they've all been stripped with caustic soda, which I found from doing model cars, it's a really good paint stripper for general paints like acrylics. You make a bath of it with one of those plastic tubs and put it in hot water, and you get a good sizzle, and you usually get a nice clean job to repaint. So the whole dashboard's come apart. And here I've repainted all that frame you saw earlier. I did this all with an airbrush. It's a little bit time consuming, but you do get the paint on in a couple of coats. And there's also all the matching parts for the dashboard. Took some time to get all that together too, because it came with no glove box lid. So I had to get one of those from America. And here you can see I also reconditioned they call them the coffin, tunnel. And all around the bottom, I added the MDF to fill in the terrible thingo. And there's the dashboard after what you saw earlier, all reconditioned, and a little bit of wood grain up the top, which is the same you'd see in Chrysler by Chryslers. I had a little, about a metre of it. And all the tedious work of masking up to do all the spraying to get a little bit of detail in the dashboard. I'm very happy with that, how that came out, but all tedious. Had to send to America to get an ashtray to fill in that hole. And the radio is a radio, but the two knobs on the end, well, they're just mock up, but it was all to fill up the hole and make it look nice. Here we are trial fitting the new dash in the car. And as you can see underneath the dash is all the heater box and everything else hanging out. And John's still wondering, where am I going with all that? Anyway, that's gone. Now, I was very sick 7 years ago. I had blood clots in my lungs, and I had to have a lot of time off work. So I had a lot of fun in the garage every day, because my breathing took a long time to get back to normal. So I made all the new door panels out of MDF, and I repositioned all the holes to clip the panel on. I remade all the roof lining, which in the car is really just a piece of cardboard with some vinyl covering on it. So I had the old one to copy. There's a chap out there in Nuttawading that sells glove boxes, so he gave me a big piece of cardboard. The rear quarter inner, I'd bare metaled, and the panel beater sprayed them up to match all the interior. And of course you can see one rear quarter panel there in upholstery. This is just having a look at how it all is going to fit and where I'll position the holes. Those sills were all dinted as well, so they've all been panel beaded out. Just another trial fit on after I did, put all the clips on the door panels. I was happy with that. So they were about ready to go off to the upholsterer to get some upholstery put on them. I must say, if I got $1 for every time I climbed in and out of the cabin of this car, I would have paid myself back the 40 grand I spent. Now, this is an S-Series back seat. I found it fitted just perfect, like the profile from side to side and the depth. I could hang it on the hooks. I changed the sedan seat into a coupe seat, squared up the sides because as you guys know, cars, most of the sedans have got the rounds, so your legs can go around to get in the car. Now you can see on one side, that's the old roof lining, and I used that as the template for the new one. And there's the new door panels and the rear quarter panels and the parcel shelf at the back after it came back from the upholsterer. And there's just a trial fit. The front seats have the Australian Charger, but they looked apart because they're in the same year as what this car is, 1972. And of course they have the button for the seat to go forward. And yeah, very happy with the upholstery job as well. And it'll look nice when you finally see the colour of the car. And that's just, you can see how nicely the back seat fitted against the rear parcel shelf. I was all happy with that. And I cut in the speakers, guys. Thought, yeah, one day I will have a radio in it. Now we get down to the engine there. We pulled that apart and found, oh, an unhappy engine. Now, by the way, the friend had this as a rolling shell, so he bought an engine from a swap meet. Yeah, just lots of stories when you buy things from swap meets. A 318 with a 383 manifold, and I think the car, it had water right through it, so you can see all the. So that scored the bores, and when the engine was machined, we had to machine the bores 80 thou over, 60 thou over, I should say. But it came. That was done at Dandenong Engines. They did a lovely job of that. And yeah, and a friend of mine, pardon me, reassembled the whole engine, and everything's all brand new inside the engine. It's just a 318 with a mild street cam in it, which is the same cam which is in my yellow Belvedere. It just gives the car a little bit more, a better torque range, which most Plymouths seem to have lovely torque, but you just get a little extra with the street cam. And it can still use the 2-barrel carby to go along with that. I'm doing well. I'm not even reading my notes. You know, there's the engine reassembled, and I had some headers I bought for it because they're supposed to suit 340s and came out of a 72 Cuda. But lo and behold, headers only go on cars that have manual steering boxes because manual steering boxes are smaller and they don't bump into the headers don't bump into the steering box. So on assembly of the engines, the headers got goodbye. We're going back to normal manifold. So there's the engine bay with a new engine in it and all the power, the power. Now that's a new steering box. It's the Borgson because the other one just was not worth reconditioning in the end, the other steering box. So, and it's much smaller. They come in from North Carolina. Now to assemble those, you've got to cut about 1 inch off the end of the original steering box, the steering column. So that's done, but you've got to take the whole assembly out. And you've got to fit this this coupling to the end and do 3 spring basic or rivets, I'll call them. And you connect this universal joint. So there's that part of it. Everything wasn't done in that sequence, but I just did it this way to make it a story. Everything's been here and there, and months and years go by between finding parts, and as you know. So here we are up to the panel shop. Back to the panel shop. And more adding bongo, I think the term's called, and putting the doors on and blocking the car right through to get, I love it. Incidentally, the paint job was done by my son-in-law who runs Bayside Panels in Carrum, in Astor Avenue. He does a beautiful job. Here the car had been sprayed with what they call the spray-on filler. And of course you can see they're doing the guide coat there to really get the perfection of the paint job. The doors inside have all been matched to that interior colour, or as near as possible. And as you can see, the red colour of the car on the inner doors there, that it used to be. And the tails all, the lock, you can see a lock hole in the centre, that was all replaced. We had to put a new one of those in because that was all wrecked. And so now it's back home again. So it's back home again, ready to fit it all up again with all those goodies that I've been doing. Incidentally, in all that time, I've polished all the stainless steel that goes around the windows, similar to you'll find on a CM Valiant, all very much the same. And the clips are exactly the same to clip it all back into place. And of course, all new rubbers have been found. And here we are putting the rear quarter windows back in, and they flip out. They don't wind down in this car. Incidentally, these cars are much the same as rebuilding a Charger or a VH hardtop. You can see the condition of the sills, the inner sills on the doors, dented in. I think because the car was a bit of a drag car in America, it was an unhappy racer and he kicked the doors. Here we are fitting the new carpet, which comes from, I think, True Fit Carpets in Kilsyth. And a few of the rear panels are in place. And underneath all that, I've put the thick underfelt that's a bit of noise deadener for sound. And standing back and thinking, oh, this is looking good. Now the rally wheels, they came from America with the car. I had them all powder coated and I found some white walls and just to give the car that little look. Now here's all the interior, how it's all together, and I'm more than pleased with it. Trying to find a brown steering wheel cover is a bit of an impossibility. So I've got something. There you can see the difference between the two doors, finished and part the way there again. And incidentally, I had to get new glass for the doors, and the glass that came, it's at the sill level where it comes out, it's got to be absolutely dead straight. But the glass that came from America had come from Thailand and had about 8mm bow in it. So it will not come up through the door when you're trying to wind it up. So out that came and replaced the glass. So another 8 months goes by waiting for the new glass to come. Here's the interior again, pretty much all put together, but also because this car is after 1970, never registered, I have to have the retractable seat belts in the back. So they're fitted. And here we have the car under its own power after the engine's been run in, sitting in the driveway. Pretty exciting moment to see the car. And there's another shot of the grille. Yeah, well, that looks really nice, I feel, but there's been a lot of work to achieve that, to make it look like that. Now the headlights, here we have to put the Parkers in the headlights for this new Rego. So the HQ and the CM Valiant have that Parker down below the terminal for the sealed beam. So I achieved it in that regard. And you can see I've just said that there's an aperture in the back of the sealed beam, and the light can shine through that to become a Parker in the job. And the Parker blinker on the car is only going to be the blinker now, which I've had to add an orange globe to it. Because of these new regulations, I think I've forgotten what they call it, but I've got to have it engineered for the seat belts, the brake linings and the blinkers and Parkers. And they have to be the Australian sealed beam. There you can see I've had to redo the rear taillights, because where you see the indicator and taillight on the original Duster, that's one big red lens and the reverse light. But I've had to make this up to make the blinker outbounds, tail stop light, and then the reverse light. And that's about the only way I could come up with it looking half decent, and I'm happy with it. I had an electrician come over for 2 days and he completely rewired the whole car because there was a lot of mismatched stuff. The wiring harness that was in the engine bay, another swap meet part, it wasn't the same wasn't talking to the harness on the inside of the firewall. So we had a lot of trouble figuring out why right and left blinkers were going on and they shouldn't. And finally the electrician said, I know what's wrong. They're not talking to each other through the firewall. Once we got that sorted out, everything came together and was really good. And all the parkers worked and we could use all the original switches in the car and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so there's the rear view of the car now. Yes, I'm really quite pleased with how things have turned out with the car. All these bumper bars and the like on these cars are pretty cool. And here's just a short video of I shouldn't tell you this, but those rear vision mirrors on the side are off a 56 Chevy.
Apologies, this doesn't seem to be displaying too well, does it?
No, we've only got 2 more seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's just technology, isn't it? Well, there you go, folks. There's 12 years of restoration work. Thanks for letting me show off all this. And that's the end. So Merry Christmas to you all, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, John. 12 years, did you say?
Yep.
Wow, done a lot of work in 12 years. That is a really beautiful car that you've got on the road finally. So, no, congratulations, good effort.
Thank you. Yep. I'm very pleased with it, just to look at it.
Definitely.
I sit and put the radio on and turn the lights on and think, oh, wow.
It runs. It's good to see a project come together.
You understand because you've just even done a restoration on your car and it's still a lot of hard work, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Oh.
Okay. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, John. Has anyone got any questions for him? That was a pretty good chat. Detailed photos and discussions, so not surprising that no one's got any questions at the moment. But thank you very much.
Like I said to Mark, I left out the other 400 photos.
All restorations come with that many.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much. Mark, would you like to introduce our next guest speaker?
Okay, so our next guest speaker is all the way from Bairnsdale, and it's going to take a slightly different format. But it's from Glenn Burrage, and Glenn and Lynn have been in the club almost forever. With member number 27, they go right back to almost the beginning of time. And we usually only get to see them on annual tours, national rallies, and more recently on Zoom. So it's good to have Glenn with us tonight. Now, their S-Series Valiant has been the vehicle that we've seen over most of the time they've been in the club, but more recently, Glenn unveiled his newly restored VG Pacer at the National Rally in McLaren Vale last year. And it was obviously an excellent vehicle. And Glenn is going to take us on a tour of his garage and explain a little bit about what he's been doing over his time in the club and what actually goes on in his garage. So welcome to Glenn. Now we're just going to have to get Glenn set up here, so just bear with us for a sec. So I'm going to stop sharing and find Glenn. I should have done that while I could see him before. Oh, there he is. Okay. So there we are, Glenn. We're up and running. We're seeing your face, and you appear to be in your garage. So over to you.
Yes, Mark. Thank you. Yep, sitting in the shed. Before we have a quick look around, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on Lynn and I. We both come from Central Victoria. Lynette Maryborough and I came from a place called St Arnaud, brought up there. left school when I was 13, started an apprenticeship in the motor trade. General engineering place that was a BMC dealer. So worked on Morris Minors and the earlier Minis and Morris Oxfords, which was a pretty joyful effort to work on those things. A good grounding there because they did everything from building trailers to building bulk bodies to go on trucks, did motor mower repairs. So it was a pretty broad learning in the game. And in 1963, late 63, they became the Chrysler dealers for that area. And basically we're working on AP5 Valiants from the time they were released, and worked on Valiants right through until 1971 when we got married, left there and moved down here to Bairnsdale. When we moved down here, I started work in the Holden dealer, and that was at the stage that the HQs were just released. So I came through the Holden dealership from HQ, started off on the floor, worked through into foreman, then up to service manager. Spent a lot of time in Melbourne at General Motors, both at Fisherman's Bend and Dandenong. Quite a bit of time out at Lang Lang at the test track. Into sales, onto the truck sales, into the warranty administration side. So was tied up with Holden there for quite a while. That dealership also took on Mercedes-Benz cars and trucks, Kenworth trucks, and later in the course Mitsubishi. So got to work on Sigmas and early Magnas and vehicles like that. In the 90s, I left there and worked for a independent for a while, got into fitting LPG, and in around 2000, we starting to struggle a bit with eyesight, which is fairly difficult lying under a dash, trying to see wires and trying to get your glasses into focus. So ended up giving the mechanic game away, went into the antiques and managed an antique shop for my uncle for a few years, and then retired in 2015. Car-wise, all the way through, we've always had a selection of cars come and go all the way through, veterans, right back to 1913, vintage cars. When we moved down here, we had our first Chrysler, which was a 1926 Model 50, had a Bud four-door coach body on it, and we were starting to restore that when we joined the Chrysler Club. And at that stage, we just built a house and had 2 kids, and the normal story, great ambitions, but no money. So it took forever and sort of got nowhere. And eventually we decided that it wouldn't be a very good road car anyway, so I sold that. And that's when we got the green car. The green car was, the green S model was advertised in our local car club magazine down here. The car was located in Traralgon. And Lynette and I talked about it, did nothing, and the next month the ad was still running in the newsletter, so I rang the people and made an appointment to have a look at the car. The warning was that it was a one-owner car, but it was very rusty, which didn't surprise me because a lot of the S models we'd seen were. So we went down and rolled up to the house, and the car was sitting out on the nature strip, and it looked pretty solid. I had a bit of a look around it before I knocked on the door, and the gentleman came out and told us the story of the car, that it had been his parents and they'd both passed on, and he'd taken the car over. Hadn't done anything with it for years. Drove it once a month and every 6 months had the car serviced. Still had the original registration plates on it. So I said, look, I'm interested. Can I take it for a drive? Because I wanted to get it away from his house and try and find this rust he was talking about. We went around the block, got out and had a good look around the car, and we couldn't see any rust at all. Went back to him and said, yeah, it was a nice car. And then he pointed out, he said, yes, it's a pity, it's a real shame about the rust. And then he proceeded to show us the sharp edges of the front mudguards and along the roof where his parents over the years had rubbed the paint right through to the brown undercoat, and that was what he was considering to be this very bad rust. So that worked in our favour. I said, yeah, it's a shame about the rust. And we came to a deal on it, and we got a car that had actually had no rust in it whatsoever and only done 50-something thousand miles. So that's been our mainstay. That was in 1991, so we've had that car for a while. Progressed from there onto a couple of Holdens, but always had a soft spot for the Pacers because they were released and we worked on them just before we left the Chrysler dealership. And in 2015, I finally located a four-door Pacer up at Dubbo. So I jumped in the car and trailer and went up there. The car was drivable, but that's about all you'd say about it. Drove it onto the trailer, brought it home, and that was in July of 2015. And with the full intentions of getting it finished and taking it to the Nationals at CRCA. Well, by the time the Nationals at CRCA came around, it hadn't even gone to the paint panel shop. So the green car went up there, and then we concentrated on working on it. And as it turns out, we only put it on the road a month before the McLaren Vale Nationals, so it took a lot longer than we thought. I'll see if I'll turn this phone around now because I'm doing this on my phone, and we'll have a bit of a look at a couple of the cars, and I'll show you a little bit around the shop. So if you just bear with me here. There we go. Oops. Okay, so we move around a little bit. There's the Pacer. A lot of work went into the body of the car, similar to the car that we've just been told about, the Duster. This one had quite a bit of work done to the front end. Panels, every single panel on it was dinted. This car I also stripped back to bare metal, and every panel I stripped back, we came across very, very heavy layers of body filler. Always worried about what we might find under it, but it was only ever dents. So fortunately, it was fairly sound. Lots of work, engine overhaul, all the good things you normally do happened to this car. This sticker on the back window doesn't relate to the this car, but it's a bit of a shout out to where I did my apprenticeship. Had the car when we got it, had been also played with, had a 4-barrel carby on it, extractors, and 4-speed gearbox in it. So all that had to be rebuilt and replaced. Of course, to locate a proper Pacer gearbox is not easy because they got different ratios to the normal 3-speed box. Luckily, I found the one that's in the car in Adelaide. So we did a quick trip over to there. It's a bit like a black cave in here. You can't see a lot, but anyway, we managed to get the car to Adelaide. It's a bit of a story there. Some people know about the diff in it. When I restored the car, we've been right through the engine, been through the gearbox, but being a strong old Borg-Warner diff, I foolishly put a set of wheel bearings in it some seals and so on, and said she'll be right. Well, she got us to Adelaide. We managed to be awarded with the trophy for the best valiant in the rally. But at that stage, the car was on a truck on its way back to Bairnsdale because the diff had exploded. The green one, most of you will probably know this car. As I said, it's a very original car. We resprayed it in the 90s. Apart from that, it's just been a super reliable car. Give it a bit of a tune up now and then. Everything inside it is original. The seats are original, the dash is original, hood lining's original. It's only done 66 or 67,000 miles now, so it's a car that, well, it's probably our favourite car. Like I say, we've had this from 1991, and we really love this old girl. Probably my favourite car, but then again, this one may well be my favourite car too. We'll have a bit of a wander around. We've got a few collectibles here. Unfortunately, a majority of the good stuff is not here because we have now 10 display cabinets of motoring memorabilia that are down in the museum at Mafra. So all our good oil bottles and oil cans and interesting car parts are down in the museum at Mafra. I'll just sort of try and give you a bit of a look at the folly that I've taken on over the years for some stuff. People ask me, why do you do it? And I really can't answer that question. There's no obvious reason. Bit of a speed equipment, multiple carburetors, alloy rocker covers, more small collectibles down here, car stuff, a few Smith's gauges down here. I don't think I'll ever restore enough cars to use all those in. Just all stuff.
So which part of this collection belongs to Lynn, Glenn?
The broom that used to clean the floor. That's about all. But no, I'm very lucky that Lynette's interested in all this. And the reason it's in the shed is because she certainly doesn't want it in the house. We got bugger all in the house, a few pieces of china and glassware, but yeah, I don't think I'd be game to suggest any of this went down there. But, it's just one of those things that we go to swap meets and garage sales and pick up some of this stuff, and one thing just leads to another, and we end up with, like I say, quite a collection of stuff. It's, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Saving it, I suppose. We are about to start moving a lot of this stuff on. We get into a lot of the kitchen and household stuff here, which is all quite collectible. These old grocery type stuff. We go up here to the tea tins and a few petrol tins. So, we'll move along to a bit more car stuff here. your enamel signs and grills and toys, tin plate toys, which are quite collectible, things that you sort of pick up over the time. Little grills, a few steering wheels hanging up here. Even a model plane up there. A few more signs. A few more toys. Oil bottles. Signs. A couple of original old Chrysler signs. And I go out here. Oops. And just head out here. This is just a bit of the workshop area as well out here. We've got a few more signs on the back of the door here.
How do you keep the dust off everything, Glenn?
The shed's pretty good actually. It out here, I've got a few bits hanging up in the roof. This area out here is pretty well sealed from where the cars are, and this is probably the dirty area because we got the sandblaster cabinet and the polishers and drills and things are out here. So this area gets a little bit more dirty.
There's always Lynn's broom.
Sorry?
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's
shelves, a
always
lot of
Lynn's
stuff.
broom.
So yeah, we've got a bit of stuff hanging up in the roof here. Little radios. Yeah, some brand new mini grills and bumper bars there if anyone wants any. There's some Pacer wheel caps. Now these are fairly hard to come across because they're only used on VF and VG Pacers. And of course, a lot of them were discarded and mag wheels fitted. So a little bit hard to find these days. A bit more crap, mud guards. We've got a couple of engines here. We've got a 245 there. This one here. This one is a genuine Pacer engine. Unfortunately, I didn't find this until after we'd spent a fortune doing the engine up that's in the car. The engine number on these things is very important because that tells you what sort of engine that's in it. The D243A, the D tells you that it's a Valiant engine. If it was DF, it'd be a Centura. The 2 tells us that it's a 245. If it was 1, it's a 215. If it was 3, it's a 265. The 4 tells us it's a high performance engine, which is for the Pacer. And the 3 tells us it's for a manual transmission. And the A is the year date. Hemi started in 1970, so the A tells us it's a 1970 engine. If it was a B, it'd be 71, or C, it'd be 73, or so on. So that is a genuine 245 Pacer engine. Some outboard motors, rubbish there. Move on, still a bit of crap here. Some magnetos and stuff down there. Then we get to these drawers here. They're pretty much all full of American and Australian early hot rod magazines. A little bit of a soft spot for the old hot rods. In fact, my first car I bought when I was 14 was an A model Ford Sports Coupe that I put a custom line V8 in with triple carbies and all the rest of it. Never ever made it to the road because I got my licence and had to get on the road and it wasn't finished, so I bought an FC Holden. Still moving on around. There's a set of Plymouth wheel caps there. If anyone wants a set of Plymouth wheel caps, we've got those ones there which are available. Here we've got Pacer exhaust manifolds. Now they're different to the normal Valiant one because they've got the 2 outlets, almost like a header setup. This one here is a genuine Pacer one. You can tell that because it's got the bolt holes here for the bimetallic choke set up to be bolted on, whereas this one here is also a 2 outlet one, but this is a later model. It hasn't got the holes here for the choke, because that one's for the later CM Valiant. So same manifold, but different setup. So the Pacer ones have the mounting there for the choke. What do we got in here? Oh yeah, we've got a few cassettes in that drawer. A few playing cards in there, full of playing cards. Now, why the hell would you collect playing cards? But anyway, there you go. That's a radiator out of a 1924 Spa. I don't have a car or anything, but I thought it was a nice radiator, so there you go. They even got a bird cage, a nice Art Deco bird cage. Wander on along here, some more stuff, more rubbish. Here we've got a few trophies, a couple in here that we're quite proud of. This one in the back here is the one we got at McLaren Vale, which was quite thrilling. And
That's a good looking cow, Glenn.
yeah, that's one of our prized ones too, is the spotted cow. And this one here is the John and Claire Woods. We were the initial ones to get that award, and we're very, very fortunate that John was still alive and managed to present that one to us, which is good memories for us. Wander on around here, just some more grills and chrome strips and things up there. Quite a nice enamel sign there. Bit more bloody junk in a cabinet there and a couple of trikes. Wander out here and here's another one of our little babies. And I'll get around here, you might be able to see it a bit better from over here. This is our 58 FC Holden. Finished this car in 2013. Bought the car actually in the 90s. Was fairly rough, but had a good body. And the intention was to restore it to the way it came out of the factory. We dismantled it and ran into problems getting the correct material to do a hood lining for it. So whilst I was trying to source that, there was another FC came available that was fully restored. So I ended up buying it, and that left us with this thing in pieces. We discussed whether or not we would sell it in pieces or what to do with it. And Lynette said, well, your first car you had was an FC Holden and you wanted to make it into hot it up and do it. She said, so why don't you do that to this car and finally get what you wanted when you're 18? So I had a number of period speed equipment bits for it. So we set about semi-restoring it and making it, building it the way I wanted one in the 60s. So it's got an original grey Holden motor in it that's pretty well worked over, triple carbies, all the work's done inside it. Still got the 3-speed gearbox, still got drum brakes. It's got the period correct old VH24 booster. It's got all the fuel dividers on it and so on. It's got period correct accessories. I'll show you in here. You can see it. It's got a Impala straight line shifter, and it's got all the Smith's gauges, and it's just a lot of fun, this little car. It goes well. We have a lot of fun in it. That's the noisy bit down there. He's got twin outlet extractors on it, and she's a bit of a, it's a bit of luck. I might even go kick her over. Now, she got a little bit of urge and she's quite a bit of fun. This one could also be my favourite car, but I'm not too sure how many I can have favourite cars. Over here on the wall, we've got quite a large Caltex clock. It's about just over 3 foot in diameter, which is quite a nice collectible piece. A couple of other clocks and a nice old Mopar sign down there, genuine parts sign. Sorry if I'm moving this thing too quick. A few more bits and pieces up along the top here. On the bench here, we've got quite a collection of sales brochures, which are all, these are all Chrysler Valiant ones. So that's one folder of them. And we've got another folder of them here. Spotlight magazines, Mopargrams. These are, of course, issued by Chrysler for the spare parts to promote their parts sales. More brochures there. Another lot here, all Chrysler again. Probably a bit hard to see under this light, it looks a bit shiny. We'll just flick through them. And we've got Dodge truck ones here. A little bit of a sucker for sales brochures, I've got to admit. We've got a collection of between 3,500 and 4,000 sales brochures. We've got a few more here. These are the bigger format ones, but again, these are all Chrysler. So, but the sales brochures are not just Chrysler, they're on all cars from about 1908 right through into the 60s. So we have quite a collection of those. We've got a little bit more signs up here, and a big coach one there. The other Holden I talked about, I can't show you it because it's not here at the moment, but that's a photo of it there. So that'll give you hopefully a little bit of an idea of what it's like as well. It's a nice restored, there was a rotisserie restoration on that car and it goes really, really well. Because I didn't restore it, it doesn't have quite the same meaning to us as the other three. So it's not one of my favourite cars. It's a nice car, it's a good car, but it doesn't quite relate as well as these other three. This chassis that I'm wandering around past, that's our current restoration. It's a 1974 Holden HQ Sandman Ute. That's the engine and gearbox out of it. At this stage, we've only managed to get it dismantled to that point. As you can see, there's not a lot of room here because a couple of these cars don't usually live here in the shed. So that's the body that's going onto the Ute. It's a really, really good body. It's as straight as a gun barrel. It's got no rust. Very, very lucky to to get a body like that. Here we go, and people might remember that. Warrnambool Nationals, one of those signs that were on the table, which was all very good. We've got a few more signs along there, a few more toys. A few more toys down here. Oh, geez, I'm not doing this very well. A few more toys. A few more toys in there. Steam engines and what have we. We'll sneak around here. We've got some grills and quite a few workshop manuals over here, or Holden and Falcon and Chrysler. Quite a number of workshop manuals there. More of them down there. A couple of old typewriters and radios. Now this is the body that came off the ute. You'll see in a minute the reason why I can't restore it and put it back on. When we get down here, you'll probably be able to see that she's suffering a little bit from cancer, but it is a genuine Sandman Ute. Now in HQs, the Sandmans were only available in 74. They only released them in 74. And the panel vans, of course, were far more popular than the utes. In fact, there was only 120 Sandman Utes made in the HQ, and this is one of them. As you can see, it's maybe you can't. This one's interesting. We've had the numbers checked on this by a guru on HQs, and this ute is the last Sandman built in HQ. It was built in October. The reason that it's this colour, which is not a HQ colour, it's actually a HJ colour, is that this ute was built in the last week of production, and it's actually painted in a HJ colour, which is the next model. So it'll be restored to original because of its rarity, and we'll try to do a good job of that one and make it worth its effort. A few more bits and pieces out here, FC parts, Valiant S model parts there. We've got a few Hemi air cleaners, S model wheel caps up there, just general junk. General junk. These are this is our little speedboat. It's also in the process. It's a tiny racing 1958 hydroplane outboard. Got a twin cylinder, 15 horsepower, Anzani outboard on the back of it. Would be quite an experience, I think, to drive that thing at speed. It's only 8 foot long, and it's pretty much a flat bottom. So don't know what I'll ever do with it. It's not high on the priority list. It's interesting, but the idea was that we would, restore it and make a trailer and tow it to car shows, but that's never eventuated. Probably something that we'll eventually let go, or somebody offers me what I've put into it, they could probably have it. But like I say, it's not something that's high on my list of priorities. Just about finished, guys. Got a few airline bags up there, a few things like that. A few more signs up there, grills, HSV signs, so on and so forth. We're back around to just about where we started. So I don't know whether that's the kind of thing you wanted to see and hear about or not, but that's our shed, and that's our interests.
I'm totally flabbergasted. Glenn, I thought you said this was going to take 15 minutes and you had no hope in hell of doing all of that in 15 minutes. That's a staggering collection that you've got.
Yeah, like I say, unfortunately, the good bits are not here.
I'm not
no.
sure what you mean by good bits aren't there, because I'm pretty sure you've just taken us all down a trip of dreams of what we wish we had in our backyard.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we feel fortunate that, you know, we're in a position that we can enjoy these cars, have these cars, enjoy the cars, and every day it gives me somewhere to come when I get up in the day and come up here. And sometimes I come up here with the intention of doing something specific, and I'll go back down in the middle of the afternoon and Lynette say, "Did you get that done?" I say, "Oh shit, I forgot about that. I've been doing other stuff all day." So it's a bit of it's nice. It's just somewhere where you can get lost with yourself. So hope you enjoyed it, and say season's greeting to everyone. If there's any questions, I'm quite happy to answer them. Or if you'd like to see something that we rushed around over, but I think probably we're against it for time.
Well, I'm not sure if anyone else has got a question, but certainly thank you very much, Glenn. That is a garage worthy of showing off. Amazing collection of absolutely everything, including the cars. Just thank you very much for tonight. It's been amazing.
A couple of people have said a couple of things in the chat and spot on. It's absolutely brilliant. And Frank Mercury, thanks very much, Glenn. It was fantastic, and it was incredible. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I'll add to the conclusion of that was an amazing story. Glenn, there was way more there than I was expecting, and I'm pleased that you got on top of the technology issues we had at the start, because that just shows that anybody can walk around their phone with around their garage with a phone and show off a presentation that is absolutely amazing. So thank you for giving that a go, Glenn. And I certainly appreciate it. I think everybody would have thoroughly enjoyed
not a
that.
problem. It's a pleasure. Hopefully we can catch up with you all sometime soon.
Most definitely. So has anyone got any questions for Glenn at all? No, not a problem at all. But yeah, again, Glenn, thank you very much for that. Absolutely amazing. Good way to end a week, walking around your garage. Thank you.
Terrific.
All right, so next meeting. Hopefully this means that we're actually all together in person, but we are looking for presenters for next year. So if you can help with a slideshow of your car story, whether it's history or restoration, a slideshow of an interesting holiday destination, or something historical about the club or Chrysler's, contact Mark Fenton, and he will be able to get you organised and booked in for the night. Hopefully we're not online, but if we are, we can certainly work around that one as well. Was there anything you needed to add to that one, Mark?
That's it. So we're just changing the messaging now. I think we've had such a good run of presentations while we're doing the online meetings that I think there's an opportunity there to keep doing that type of thing when we do get back to the meetings in the club rooms, because we can do a similar thing there. So that we are exploring the options of streaming meetings so that our country viewers, our country members can join us on the meetings. When we'll have that up and running, we're not entirely sure, but the point is these presentations can be done in all sorts of ways. It doesn't need to be that we can only do them on Zoom. We can do them in the club rooms as well, and I think that would be a great idea to get more stories told like we've been doing during the Zoom meetings.
Definitely, because we've always got the projector there at the club room. So even if you record your footage, and we can play it on the night at the end of the meeting. So definitely an option moving forward. So Mark, what's next?
It's time for a door prize.
Who wants to win a door?
Yeah, Yep. So here's, I've got to stop a few things. So I'll stop the presentation and share it again a different way using this one, I think. So we're right to go now. So I'll press the button. And all the people that are in the meeting tonight, and we will choose one, and the winner is Mick Brolman from down in Phillip Island. So congratulations, Mick. You've got a $30 gift card from Bunnings. Well done.
Congratulations, Mick. All right, so that brings us to the end of our meeting. Thank you very much for you all to join us. there was just a mention here in the chat, which I had spoken to Mark about this earlier. So Chrysler's on the Murray is happening next year. It has been moved to October. So that is now being advertised for Chrysler's on the Murray, not in March. So don't look for it in March. Has anyone else got anything more to say? No, all done, all silent, no dramas at all. We're wishing you all a safe and a happy Christmas. As that says, celebrate the new year. It can't get any worse. Let's hope that it doesn't get any worse, in all honesty. Stay safe, have fun, and those of you that are coming along on Sunday, I shall see you there. Good night.